Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to the first edition of This Week in Karting here in 2020, episode 17 of the podcast. And again, those of you who may be listening to the first This Week in Karting podcast, the program all about grabbing all the top news that we've had on e-karting on the news desk, bringing it here to podcast form. Absolutely perfect for heading to work, coming home, whatever it may be. You want karting on your commute to and from work, we can take care of you on that. Joined, as always, by David Cole, as we have, I think, 4 pages worth of stuff. It's our last episode, and it's our ongoing joke here, the fact that it should be this month in karting. We call it This Week in Karting, but it's usually every month. We're actually over a month since the last show. I think the last show was in the middle of December. So we're good to go. We're going to try to do it more and more, like we always say. But again, David Cole joining me, and I'll bring him in here in a second. This edition of This Week in Karting brought to you by the Rollison Performance Group. At the Rollison Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins at the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game, and we will take you to the next level. If that's your goal, RPG needs to be your next move. All right, David Cole, welcome to This Month in Karting. Right?
Yeah, I told you the name's going to stick.
I like This Week in Karting, though. It just sounds...
I know. Well, it's just... We don't have time.
And then I'm looking at, like I said, dude, we have a lot to go through. There's a lot of stuff that happened since the middle of December. Obviously, season getting underway, a lot of information coming out. And it's the time for announcements anyways, right? Everybody's talking about schedules for 2020, rules updates, new programs, whatever it may be, new dealers, whatever. So a lot coming. You never know. Maybe we'll change it to this month in karting later on. But I would rather do This Week in Karting and do it every 2 weeks. If we can do it every 2 weeks in 2020, I'll be okay with that. Are you up? You up for that?
Yeah, this is week number 2, essentially, of 2020.
That's right.
So if we do it week 4 and week 6, yeah, if we do it every other, at least it's essentially a week. Because, you know, of the news cycle, there's not a massive amount of news. But as you said, the beginning of the year, the end of 2019, there's a lot of stuff happening within the industry. So definitely a lot to cover over the last month. Yeah, no doubt. Let's start first and foremost. We look at Operation Grassroots and the kind of the foundation of the sport, of the pyramid. You know, that club level racing, Operation Grassroots. Did you do present? Who's is presented by? I don't think
I already did it.
Oh, did you? I missed it. Sorry. See, it's 2020. I'm all messed up.
Where did you go for the entire?
I blanked out there. Sorry.
Where did you go for the entire Rollison Performance Group intro?
I blanked out there for a second. I don't know what I'm doing.
Mike listen, you've even raced for Mike, and
it's Friday.
Well,
it's Friday. My mind is mush right now. I'm playing Mr. Mom the last 2 weeks, so my mind is mush right now.
This I want to say this right now. This speaks volumes. Like I'm really getting an understanding of when I'm talking to you and we're having discussions on how to advance e-karting news and what we're going to do to make this night better. And you give me that glazed over look.
I just don't listen to you.
Well, listen,
I think we said this in the last podcast we did. I only have to listen to you when I want to, and I just happen to not want to listen to you at that particular time.
Well. So in this situation, you're obviously the work wife.
Yeah, well,
yeah, you're the woman in this one because you're not listening.
I'm not. No,
that's good. Select. Actually, it's the men normally that have selective hearing, so I get it. All right, listen. Let's get back to what I was talking about. Major news hitting in late last year, obviously, when the rumor was out there that longtime Briggs & Stratton director of motorsports David Klaus was moving on. He was not going to be with the company anymore, being replaced by Dan Roach, which, you know, Dan's a veteran guy in the sport. He's been with Briggs & Stratton for 14 years, a 12-year member of the Badger Kart Club along with his 2 sons. He's a racer, which is obviously big. But Dave, that transition of power was something that I think we were all everybody took a collective breath saying, okay, what's going to happen moving forward with Briggs & Stratton, right? Because number one, David Klaus has been the leader for many, many years. He kind of, steered the Briggs 206 program in. He did such great things for the sport. but then we're talking transition. He's gone. Is Briggs still committed to motorsports? So, and they have such a broad spectrum of motorsports. It's not just karting, it's quarter midgets, it's snowmobile racing, it's drag racing, it's some of the buggies that they do, oval stock car stuff they do with some of their engines. That was big news. But then I know for you and I, the minute we were able to get a chance to talk to Dan, man, just reinvigorated things. It's going to be a new focus, obviously. A lot going on at Briggs & Stratton.
That's the hard side of the winter season is rumors come up and everybody just wants to talk about things going on or not going on because there's nothing to do. There's no racing going on in certain parts of the country, and especially in Briggs country here up in the Midwest, the home of Briggs & Stratton being in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it's, there's no racing going around here in the Midwest. So people just go after any type of drama that's going around, and the internet just fuels it and feels it. It's like pouring fuel on a fire. So it was good to understand the situation going on because, as you said, a lot of different things were being said. 90% of it was untrue, thankfully. But again, until you hear an official word from the officials at Briggs & Stratton, we don't know what's going on. So it was good to hear. It was sad to see David Klaus leave. Obviously, as you said, he's been the face of Briggs & Stratton racing for so long. I mean, when you think of Superkarts USA, you think of Tom Kutcher. When you think of Briggs & Stratton, you think of David Klaus. So, as you said, multiple different facets in the motorsports realm, not just karting, but all over. So, when you think of Mazda, you thought of John Doonan because he was everywhere.
That's true.
So a very similar case there. Yep. So Dave's going to go off and do something else, and Briggs now has a capable putting the motorsports portion of Briggs & Stratton in capable hands of Dan Roach.
Yeah. Dan Roach is going to be fantastic. I've had a couple of conversations with him since he made his debut in the new position at the PRI Performance Racing Industry Trade Show in Indianapolis in mid-December. Speaking of social media, David, and all the bullshit that happens, in the off season, we talked to Dan. The 2020 rule set is expected to come out. It's going to be released by Briggs & Stratton through the social media. We'll then follow it up with a lot of content. That's going to be probably before the end of January here. But one of the basic, and let's just touch on this briefly, one of the other crappy deals about social media, right? Somebody came out with a fake document that was supposedly from Briggs and Dan talking about the fact that they were moving to a one spec clutch. Hey, if they end up doing that, they end up doing that, whatever. But it was somebody came out to try to mess with the sport, mess with people, mess with Briggs, saying that they were going to one specific clutch. Again, that's one of the things, folks. Social media, unless it comes right from the Briggs & Stratton page or from eKarting News, don't listen to it. It's just so ridiculous, isn't it? That when I saw that, David, it was like, you got to be kidding me. And of course, we all have to spend time on the phone talking about it and working on it, just because it's just BS.
Yeah, it's what the internet has been basically for since the beginning of the internet. I mean, back in the late 90s when the forums were first started, everybody would get on a forum and claim some false statement that was going
Keyboard
on. Warriors. And now they're into Photoshop. So Photoshop, you can do a lot with it. You can, if you want to, you could put, your head on a skinny body or my head on a muscular body. It's just, there's a lot of things that can be done, but as we said, we knew it was fake, but just the fact that people were sharing it unknown what was really going on, because people, and that's the thing about social media, that's a shame is people just share things without really knowing what it is, or if it's even a true statement, or even a true image, or even a true video. Like even videos are constructed to make it look real when it's not in fact real. So it's just it's funny at times, but at times it's really sad to see kind of where our society is. But that's for another topic.
I was going to say, can we make a public service announcement and tell everybody, when you're looking at your timeline on Twitter or on Facebook, please, before you share something, whether it's related to our sport or related to politics, for one, please have a look at the actual origin of the website that is posting whatever you think is real, because it's propaganda driven. It drives me crazy.
Just this week, somebody stole one of our videos from 2017 from Sonoma. Somebody captured it and put it on their own Facebook account, and it grabbed like over 100,000 views. And I'm thinking to myself, why the hell would somebody do that? And it's just kind of the way the internet works. And it makes me want to just not even look at Facebook anymore, because Twitter's a little bit better than that, where, it's more factual. There's not a lot of, there's people who obviously put propaganda up on their own accounts, but that's just kind of the way it is. And then you go to Instagram for food and other things.
That's right. All right, David, let's jump real quickly into this. Lots to talk about here on the episode of This Week in Karting, episode 17, as David mentioned. Friday, January the 17th, as we get ready to cap off another weekend. The guys are racing down in Florida at the Rock Club Florida Winter Tour. We'll be watching that throughout the weekend. But David, Superkarts USA releasing their proposed IAME technical adjustments for 2021, getting way out ahead of it. They've got a new exhaust system they're coming out with, new ignition, new main bearings. Talk a little bit about what's going on in that release that came out from SCUSA.
I think I was actually on holiday when that release came out, or at least maybe it was a weekend where I believe you published it. So it was kind of news to me, but it was something that was put on the schedule back in 2014. And I think that's one of the great things that Superkarts USA has done with the IAME product and IAME USA West and IAME USA East. They put a 7-year freeze on the engine configurations. And you talk like 2014, essentially when everything moved to the IAME X30 engine, the Leopards were gone. The Swift became the prevalent cadet engine. I can't believe this is now going into the 7th year. It's the 7th year. It's amazing that we've gone that long. And so 2021 is when things are going to change, at least for the X30. No changes are on point for the Swift, the K100, or the new SSE 175 engines. So those 3 engines will stay the same. The change is more in the X30 category, or X30 engine, that we've seen happen in Europe. And so it was a matter of when it's going to happen. And kudos to SCUSA for sticking with the 7-year freeze rule.
They did. Yep, you're right. Yeah. And kudos for that from the very beginning, because I know when they brought the X30 out and talking to Tom Kutcher, sitting down with him, it was all about, this is the engine we're doing, and we're locking this thing in. Because obviously, the issues with the Rotax was the fact that they were constant updates, $500 update, $1,000 updates, new kits, whatever, right? The concept was, hey, this is a solid engine. It's a good one. Yeah, they're going to make changes in Europe, but we're going to lock this thing for 7 years, as you said, David. So kudos to SCUSA for sticking through it for that 7 years. And even with the updates they're making now, as you're going to go over, the cool thing is a number of the updates, you can still run whatever the old package was, which I think was really good.
Yeah, that's kind of the good thing about it. And then that's kind of what happened when they transitioned from Leopard to X30. You could run the Leopard if you wanted to, but everybody jumped on the X30 bandwagon. One of the two biggest things I think are that you'll see visually are the new exhaust system and the new ignition system. For all the X30 categories, it's going to go now to a one-piece exhaust system that's similar to what you see on the K100 engine and the Swift engine. So no more dealing with flexes, no more changing them, no more cutting them, no more measuring them. The exhaust is the exhaust. One piece system, which I think it does kind of eliminate some of that tuning ability that guys really liked, that, we're used to that with the Leopard. But, it takes away the any type of scenarios that somebody may be thinking a little bit too far out of the box. So there will still be the restricted header for the junior categories. It'll be a 22 millimeter header for the juniors. Obviously, with it being a one piece, it's a little bit different of a design, but still a bit of a restrictor for the junior categories. The new ignition system is going to be restricted at 16,000 RPMs, same as the digital K unit. This one has a little bit less wires and should have an improved start button. But as you said, both old and new systems will be allowed for competition. The exhaust, it's going to be just the one-piece exhaust, so no more two-piece exhaust allowed there. The main bearings are going to be new for the X30 engines, but both old and new bearings are going to be allowed and approved with Superkarts USA.
Last but not least, they're bringing in a new airbox as well. Same size, just kind of a newer design airbox. And again, as you said, David, old and new airboxes are legal for competition. So you don't need to get a new airbox if you don't want, but you can if you want. No changes, as you said, for Swift, KA100, or the SSE 175. Supercarts USA actually adding a little more to the new cycle, David. They announced a new spec oil and fuel combo for 2020. They're moving to the ELF racing oil for all sanctioned events. A lot of feedback, I believe, from the engine builders that they wanted a different oil, so they went with ELF. I believe that the brand is there. The model is the HTX 909. They're going to revert back to the VP MS98 spec fuel as well, which I thought was kind of an interesting call.
Yeah, they made that debut of both the oil and fuel combination at SCUSA Winter Series last weekend. So, again, it's a little bit of feedback from the engine builders or engine service centers.
Yep.
And so, again, it's a technical thing. We don't have too much information on on the oils and fuel. And again, it has to do with finding a good combination that works for all of the engine platforms, going from Swift all the way up to the SSE engine. So that way there's no mixing of different oils or different fuels. If you have just the one oil and the one fuel for all the categories, it makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah, and a slight increase in price as well. I think the oils, it's a more expensive oil. There's a lot more to it, I think, in kind of a little bit of the conversation I had with Tom and a couple other people. So a slight increase overall in the fuel oil combination. Still, that's part of our sports consumable. Dave, speaking of consumables, and this is happening with all the different tire manufacturers, but MG Tires bringing a new product for new era, the new homologation in 2020.
Yes, all around the world, excuse me, all the different tire manufacturers had to submit their new homologation through the FIA to be authorized for use in, I believe it's a 3-year program, 2020
I think so.
To 2022. So essentially 3 years. Not much has changed with the MG tires itself. A little bit development on what is the yellow and red tires. More so just name changes and identification, just for better identification and going into the new homologation. So that way they know it's a different tire compared to what was there. Yep. The yellow, so all the same colors are back. Yellow and red are the two main colors that MG uses and have been the focal point of its development going into the 2020 season. The yellow is now the SM, where the red is the SH. You have just new names for the green and white, which are SS green and the SI white. For 4-cycle competitors, there is the orange tire, which is the RL1, and the blue tire, which is now the RL2. So those two tires are also getting new names. And of course, you have what was a new tire, I believe, just recently, the RL3, which is for rental cart tires. And of course, the WT, which is for rain, stays unchanged.
So yeah, just some new branding, I guess, for MG in terms of the tires. As David said, they did do some development to get better performance and longer wear, better wear on the SM yellow and the SH red. Otherwise, just renaming stuff for 2020. All right, folks, we've come to our first break in the action on this edition of This Week in Karting. David Cole and I will be back. We're going to talk a little bit about rock, actually, in the next segment. Stay with us. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. 25 years of experience, 25 years of success. Greg Bell and Leading Edge Motorsports are heading into their third decade in the sport with winning momentum and the best material possible. Last year's monumental victories at the Rock the Rio and SCUSA Super Nationals have proven what the sport has long known. Greg Bell is one of the finest karting tuners, and he and his drivers can get the job done. Looking for a change in equipment? Get on board with Leading Edge Motorsports. Leading Edge is North America's factory team for Formula K and Praga karts, and the new 2020 models are in stock and ready for pickup or shipping to your garage. Do you want to win like Danny Formal did with Leading Edge in Las Vegas? Call Greg Bell today at 209-369-0921 to secure your place on the team. Leading Edge Motorsports will be trackside in 2020 at the Challenge of the Americas, SCUSA Pro Tour and California Pro Kart Challenge, Rock Sonoma, and the KPX Karting Championship in NorCal. From rock to Miami to Briggs, rely on Greg Bell and Leading Edge Motorsports to give you everything you need to step into the winner's circle. Check out leadingedgemotorsports.com to learn more.
For over a century, Briggs & Stratton has had a commitment and passion for racing. It's a DNA found in every engine we build today. So whether you kart race, Baja, race quarter midgets, or believe that dirt and snow are just God's way of adding to the challenge, the dedicated spirit of every Briggs & Stratton employee stands at the fence waiting for the green flag to drop. Briggs & Stratton Racing. What powers you?
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Hello, EKN Nation. Rob Howden alongside David Cole as we present to you our first This Week in Karting podcast of the 2020 season. David going back and grabbing all that news that he posted to the homepage on EKN. A lot of that news as well. If you're not yet a member of EKN Nation, on the website to get our email news, our EKN News Desk email bulletin, make sure you sign up. The pop-up comes on the website every once in a while. Get yourself signed up. That way, we'll always drop some good stuff into your inbox. You know, I know people are busy, but they're going to get a chance to see this email, which is a lot of the top stories, the primary news that's hitting. You can just click on that. Great way to have a look, kind of a synopsis of what's going out on the website during the week. But of course, this podcast, This Week in Karting, so good for your morning commute. Always great for if you're working on the kart in the garage as well. I know most people will be getting things dialed in for the 2020 season. So when you're out there thinking about working on that kart and wanting some karting podcast, maybe make sure you hook up to the EKN Radio Network. All right, David, we got a rock segment here. We got four things talking about the rock. Out of the box, some news coming from Andy Saisman of Full Throttle Karting. They become the Western distributor for the rock engines and rock parts. They add that to their Bridgestone YLR tire distribution program. And, you know, Andy, obviously, just a really good guy to do it here on the West Coast, David. He runs the Challenge of the Americas Rock program. He runs the California Rock Championship as well mid-season. So if there's a guy who's supporting rock on the West Coast, Andy Saisman is the guy. So he becomes the new distribution center for rock parts. Good call.
Yeah, Andy has a lot of background dealing with distribution, obviously working with Rotax for a number of years, probably a couple of decades, since the beginning of Rotax when it came into the United States. Now going into his third year working with Rock Cup USA, as you said, basically became the Bridgestone YLR distributor early on. But the need to kind of improve that customer service, providing less cost in shipping and shorter delivery time, that's really essentially why they've established Full Throttle Karting as a Western distributor for rock engines and parts. It's just a lot easier to get people parts within a day or two coming directly from the LA area to whether it's Colorado or up in the Pacific Northwest or somewhere in the Southwest area. A lot easier to come from California than it is from Florida, where Rock Cup USA is based. So just simple business practice.
Yeah, and let's give Andy the props as well. Remember, he's got a brick and mortar storefront shop as well in Orange, California. So it's not just a trailer shop. It's not just a warehouse either. He's got the full brick and mortar, the storefront at FTK. So yeah, great stuff. Of course, he'll be trackside as well for all the major rock events in 2020 on the West Coast. So the trailer will be there, parts will be there, and that's the support of any product line, any series, any program. You know, whether you're a club, a kart club, you got to have some guys there, some trailers there to support everybody. Good for Andy for making that happen. We'll stay with Andy on this next one as well, David, because last year, kind of answering the call of the industry. The guys that he had out at his Challenge of the Americas series when they went to Rock, and guys that maybe weren't yet running the Rock program, they kind of said, hey, listen, we love the idea of coming to the Challenge. We love the atmosphere. It's a great series. But if we're going to tool up to go rock racing with our customers, we need to have places to race throughout the year, right? Because, there's Rock Sonoma and there's the California, there's the Challenge of the Americas. Last year, Andy launching the California Rock Championship. Back for a second year this year, a bit of a evolution. Had that first season, some ups and downs. 2020 now putting together, and they've done a couple of cool things, I think, which should make it for a pretty solid season.
Yeah, there isn't a really club focused rock program in Southern California, so it, as you said, kind of emphasized the need to have something there during the summer months whether it be after the challenge ends and then waiting up until, the winter programs hit or the fall programs hit. So Andy started up the California Rock Championship, and it came with some success last year, but they're looking to establish a little bit better of a relationship between North and South California, because, as we've seen year in and year out, it's a tough sledding when you're trying to get both, it's almost like a war trying to get North and South working together. But thankfully Andy is a good mediator, was able to get with the Rock Sonoma program. And so Andy will host 2 events on the year, and then the Rock Sonoma program will host 2 events, which they're already running with their Rock Sonoma program. So 2 of their races will be part of the California Rock Championship, and then 2 races that Andy hosts will complete it for a 4-event program running through May and September. So May 16 through 17 at Button Willow, June 27 through 28 up at Sim Raceway Park or Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center. August 1 through 2nd is Santa Maria Kart Track, and then September 12 through 13 closes everything out back at the Sim Raceway.
Yeah, I think it's a great program. Again, it's for guys that run rock, and that's what you do. It's good to have a couple of programs. You got a club program. Like you said, there's not a super strong club program, I think, yet down in California, but it'll keep growing, no doubt about it. But then to have these 4 races, we're going to see a lot of guys going back and forth. I think it'll be good to get things underway. Let's go from the West Coast, David, to the East Coast, because Garrett Potter and the crew at Rock Cup USA have made a pretty significant move, kind of partnering up with the World Karting Association, the Manufacturers Cup. We've talked about this in other This Week in Kartings before. The Manufacturers Cup adding a number of the rock categories to the program, but they've also, the WK, putting together a pretty significant prize package with Rock Cup USA for their mid-season championship.
Yeah, we talked about the restructuring of the World Karting Association Manufacturers Cup Series a little bit, and essentially their whole sprint package, talking about that kid kart only program. They have the Florida Winter Cup, which includes Daytona, which was just run, and the upcoming February event in Orlando. That race in Orlando is going to be part of what is known as a mid-season championship program. So it includes Orlando, the Charlotte Motor Speedway event for the Manufacturers Cup Series, and then the Newcastle event for the Manufacturers Cup Series. So the 3 events are going to form like a mini mid-season championship, as they call it. And they're actually going to be giving away Rock Cup Super Final tickets to top points earner in Mini Rock, Junior Rock, Senior Rock, and Shifter Rock, all needing a minimum average of 10 entries in those categories in order for that ticket to be awarded.
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff. Plus, they're also going to be throwing in a Rock the Rio entry in Micro Rock, 100cc Junior, 100cc Senior, 100cc Masters, and the Rock Shifter Masters class as well. So if you run those 3 races, the second round of the Florida Cup, which David said is that Orlando race in February that pairs up with the race at Daytona Kart Week. You run Charlotte, you run Newcastle. Man, there's an opportunity if you end up as the champion of that mid-season championship battle. A pretty solid little ticket. You're either going Rock the Rio or you're going to Italy. So I think it's a pretty cool program. Rock Cup USA really getting behind the WK this year, I think.
Yeah, they formed a really strong partnership going into the 2020 season. Obviously, we talked about them using officials from the Rock Cup USA program. So the two have kind of intertwined moving forward going into the season.
Yeah, if you're a rock racer, we just said on the West Coast, you've got the California Rock Championship. Now, it doesn't go all the way up to the top, but it's, that good run through California. And then if you're East Coast, you're running Florida Winter Tour, and you're running potentially the WK Manufacturers Cup or this midseason championship. Now, speaking of the WK, or rather the Florida Winter Tour, David, we're a little late on this one here because, of course, it's been over a month since we did our last This Week in Karting. But the Florida Winter Tour, Rock Cup USA, confirming their 2020 venues, of course, on track right now. We'll be running this broadcast throughout the weekend. Drivers on track. So if you do want to find out what's going on in the first round of the Winter Tour, January 16th to 19th, they're running in Miami at Isle Casino, racing at Pompano Park, just north of Miami. That's this weekend. Middle of February, 13th to the 16th, they'll head up to Ocala Grand Prix, and they're going to wrap up this year's Florida Winter Tour on March 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida, a week before and just west of the opening round of the NTT IndyCar Series, the St. Petersburg Grand Prix. So St. Petersburg, Florida, David, another temporary venue. Apparently, Garrett Potter likes putting on temporary events.
I'm actually watching qualifying right now on the old iPad.
Yeah.
Briggs 206 Senior just got done qualifying. Guess who's on pole?
For Briggs 206, Dan Breitenstein.
No, Senior. For Senior.
Oh, and Senior. Who's running? I haven't looked at the lineup for Senior yet. Who's on pole?
We saw him win in October and at the Canadian Nationals.
Jordan Pryor,
P1.
Wow, where's Colin Warren? He's
Colin Warren, 21 thousandths off in second place.
Wow.
Ian Quinn.
Awesome.
Ian Quinn is 58 thousandths off in third. So good qualifying. They have 24 Briggs 206 Senior drivers there.
I love it, man. It gets a chance for these guys to come down. Of course, the Margay Ignite guys, 30 of them came down to the SCUSA Winter Series opener, which was badass. They're going to have probably 40 at the next one. And then because it's obviously the Ignite's an Ignite program, but the guys that obviously run other chassis are coming down to run the Florida Winter Tour. And hey, listen, Jordan Pryor, winner at the CKNA Grand Nationals over 70-something drivers in Senior Briggs, became our EKN Driver of the Month, I think, as well. Did he not, for October?
He was for October, and as I said, was a Canadian Grand National or Canadian National Champion. Right?
Solid season.
Canadian National Champion.
What do they call them? The Canadian Karting National
Championship.
National Championships. Yeah. Running for Prime Power Team on the Burrell. Yeah. So awesome stuff. Yeah. All right, folks. Again, that was your lineup. I know it's a little late news. WK. I keep saying that.
It came out a day after we recorded our last This Week in Karting. So it doesn't help that breaking news like that comes a day later.
No. And again, every 2 weeks is going to be our new plan for this deal. Every 2 weeks. All right, folks, another little break in the action. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about one of the cool one-off races, a street event coming back for 2020. We're going to talk a little Rotax. That'll be that next little group. Stay with us, folks. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. The 2019 season is rapidly coming to a close, and it's time to start thinking about 2020. Get out your calendar and mark off the dates for the fastest growing Rock Cup program in the U.S., the Challenge of the Americas. It's our 13th season and year 3 of our Rock focus, and 2020 will be the biggest yet. As always, the Challenge features 3 race weekends at 3 of the finest tracks in the West: the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Cal Speed Karting in Fontana, and Sonoma in NorCal Wine Country. Our classes include Micro, Mini, Junior, Senior, and Masters Rock, our multi-manufacturer 100cc Junior, Senior, and Masters level, and our well-supported Rock Shifter and Rock Shifter Masters program. We're by far the largest shifter program in the West, with 56 unique competitors and an average of 32 shifter drivers in just 2 categories this past winter. While other West Coast programs are shrinking, the Challenge of the Americas and Rock are growing. With over 125 entries at last year's opener, 150 plus is certainly a possibility for 2020. So make sure you're part of the fun. Prizes include tickets to the massive Rock Cup Super Final and the Rock the Rio event in Las Vegas. The Challenge opener is less than 4 months away, so head to our website at challengekarting.com, pull out that calendar, and lock in the dates. We'll see you in Tucson.
Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kartsport North America features over 6,000 square feet of retail space. Along with being the official race team and distributor for the Kart Republic chassis, they offer full retail sales, kart service and storage, and products from the top brands in the sport, such as CZ Chain, Talon Sprockets, SKF bearings, and Prisma tire gauges. If you want to take your racing to the next level, they also offer driver training and coaching programs available trackside at GoPro Motorplex. They have a massive inventory, so head to their online store at kartsportna.com to get same-day shipping of the parts and components that you need. While you're there, check out their used section of karts, engines, parts, and accessories. Kartsport North America. Top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, our newest edition of This Week in Karting, kicking off the 2020 podcast season. David, let's jump into information from P1 Promotions. One of the cool announcements last year was the return of the Lockhart Grand Prix in Texas, essentially the home of barbecue in Texas. Lockhart, just some tremendous places to go to eat down there. But a number of years ago, there was the Grand Prix of Lockhart, this kind of cool event, or Lockhart Grand Prix. It's coming back. It's been away for a while, but new promoters. It's Gina and Mark French from P1 Promotions. They were the ones that did the Texas Pro Kart Challenge over the last couple of years. They've passed that Pro Kart Challenge back to SCUSA. They're doing their own events this year, 3 events. One of them being this Lockhart Grand Prix, May 16th and 17th. Kart's getting back for the first time since 2015. The same layout that they used in 13 and 14. But David, the big thing was they actually went online, did a Facebook Live, I think, and kind of announced all the class structure for the program.
Yeah, it was a great little Facebook Live program that Mark and Gina were able to do. I think they kind of copied us because they had a couple of beverages with them as well. So they watched us doing it in Supernats, and I think they liked it, so they tried it out themselves. It was a good time. But as you said, so karts have been at Lockhart 3 times previously. So 2013 through 2015 with a different promoter, a different name. This year now, as you said, going with P1 Promotions, they're bringing it back to Lockhart after that absence there. Similar layout to 2013 and 14, using all the same streets that were used before and the same type of layout, all focused around the courthouse. There's a courthouse square there that everything is kind of focused around. A really cool old-fashioned building that the start-finish line and pit lane are kind of right alongside. And it's a really cool little atmosphere in the barbecue capital of Texas. So it's amazing.
I'm not going to be able to go because it's the qualifying weekend for the Indy 500. I'll be in Indianapolis, but man, I'm pretty sure you're heading down for EK and Trackside Live, so you're going to be able to have it. I don't even want to talk about it right now. I'm upset. It just hit me the wrong time. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet today.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I could go to Black's right now and just order a big old platter.
Well, you know what? I might order like the most expensive meat and just throw it away, kind of like what you did with the In-N-Out, and then still charge you for it.
Wow. Yep. Wow. That's even worse, dude. That hurts. Do you remember that? You remember that? So we went the year that we were there. You and I went to Black's, and we ordered a bunch of stuff: brisket, the sausage. I think they have a jalapeno cheddar sausage or something like that. But I want to say I also ordered like a beef rib. There's pictures on my Facebook page, a massive beef rib, and I had because remember, you don't know what it costs until they weigh it, right? And we had a lot of food, and it was great. And I want to say our bill was was $75 because I think the beef rib itself was $25.
It had to be at least that. I think mine was like maybe $10 of the meal, and you had the rest.
No, yours was more than that. It was like, give me a break. But dude, that beef rib was melt in your mouth. That was Black's. That's my favorite place there.
Yeah. So if anything, if you love to eat, just be part of the Lockhart Grand Prix and to go there and catch the action. Essentially, what you'll be watching is Shifters X30.
Hit the class structure. I don't want to talk about food anymore. Go.
Shifters X30 categories, 100cc categories, and Briggs 206 categories. They're going to do Open Shifter and Open Shifter Masters. Open Shifter Masters was one of the classes that they added after they ran a poll on Facebook for a little bit. The other class they added was X30 Masters. So they've added those 2 categories to the original lineup that they provided during that Facebook Live show. So again, they'll be able to combine race classes together into race groups if they need to, depending on numbers and how things go. But again, so X30 Master, X30 Senior will be a class, X30 Junior. They'll do a combined KA 100 and VLR Senior and Junior category. And then Briggs 206 Senior Light, Briggs 206 Senior Heavy, along with a Briggs 206 Junior.
Yeah, I think it's a good class lineup. First and foremost, they need to look at what's being run around Texas because that's going to be your primary driver pool. And then you throw out the shifter stuff because there's guys around this country who absolutely love doing street races. And I'm hoping they're going to get a good run from guys coming down from, the Indianapolis area and other areas where people like to go do some street racing, because Gina and Mark French, they love this sport. They put on a fantastic race. I really enjoyed being part of the family with the Texas Pro Kart Challenge last year. Those events were always a bunch of fun. They're going to put on a great race. They know how to do this. And the great thing about it, Mark's a racer as well, right? He races. He's obviously wrenched on Jake stuff for many, many years. The racetrack's going to be safe. That's the one thing that I know, that they have such a focus on safety that when they put this track together, it's going to be put together the way it needs to be put together. So I think that's just one of the things I think you have to put as a check mark anytime you have an event like this, like Rock Island Grand Prix. Like Roger and the crew there, they put so much emphasis on making sure it's a safe racetrack. I think they're going to do that at Lockhart as well, and I think that's an event that if I was a racer, I'd do whatever I could to get down. It's May the 16th and 17th. It's another event that we need to support. That's one thing too, David, right? You can want to go to it, but support it. Put that on your schedule. Let's make sure we get a bunch of people down there. Let's make it a financial success for these guys, because it's a race we don't want to go away. These street races are so good for the sport. It's fun, and it's obviously a great opportunity to bring the sport to new people.
It's a very fast track, so if people love speed, it's going to be one that you'll want to be on. They did paving back in, I believe, 2014. So depending on how the pavement holds up, I mean, it is Texas, so it doesn't snow down there. So it's got to last a lot better than what we have up here in Michigan.
No frost heaving.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So it's fast, and as you said, the layout it was essentially a safe layout. That they're going to be running. We saw it firsthand. Obviously, other than racing incidents that you get and people going into the wall because of it, it's generally a safe racetrack. So, I have no doubt, again, that it'll be a safe track. It'll be a fast track. And again, a 2-day event, go down, hang out in Texas and have some good food and enjoy some racing.
Yeah, not that far away from Austin, Texas, as well, where the Formula One track is, the COTA track. They've got the karting track there as well, which I think is kind of cool. If we can continue to build support and awareness for karting in that part of Texas, in Austin, you're going to see more people racing out there at the Circuit of the Americas as well in COTA karting. All right, David, in this particular segment, let's jump now into some road tax news. Obviously, one of the biggest things that's happened over the last couple of years has been this reintroduction of the road tax program to American karting. The good folks at J3 Competition have announced the 2020 Road Tax Racing Stars and Stripes program. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in terms of the Trophy Series and the reintroduction of the Grand Nationals.
Yeah, if you recall from last year, they had two special events. They had a Stars and Stripes Trophy event, which was held in Utah, and then they had the Stars and Stripes Open, which was held at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. This year, they're doing something a little bit different. They're holding a Stars and Stripes Trophy Series in the Northeast, which will consist of the United Karting Facility in May, OVRP in May, and the Lafayette Motorsports Park in June. So a little mini series there in the Northwest, kind of the base of where J3 Competition is located. They're in the series, they're going to award Road Tax Grand Finals tickets to champions in the senior and masters category. So tickets will already be handed out by the time we get to June. So a couple of tickets handed out there. That'll be cool. And that leads into what will be the return of the U.S. Road Tax Grand Nationals, which will be held on July 3rd through 5th at the Pittsburgh International Race Complex. So the Grand Nationals are back. It was a famed event for so many years under the tutelage of Joe Ramos and then with Max Speed. And again, as you said, we gone through that transition. We kind of had a U.S. Open for a while. We called it the Grand Nationals, but now this is essentially going to be the Grand Nationals because only drivers who are from the United States of America, hold a USA license, will be eligible for the 9 Rotex Max Challenge Grand Final tickets that will be up for grabs that weekend. So open to international drivers, but only USA drivers will be able to earn those tickets.
And the Grand Nationals is, of course, designed for drivers who potentially run club racing, whatever it may be. Everybody shows up at one race. So that's the key for the Grand Nationals. That's how it all started when the Rotex program first got here. They won't be doing the lottery engines anymore, David. And I think that's probably one of the big news items. They do have incentive prices essentially moving into all these events now. It's ownership based, so you have to own your own engine or you can lease it off a team or whatever you may be. But it's not the lottery engine program where you enter the race and you get an engine. This year, it's the owner program, right?
Yeah, and I think that was mainly due to the fact that there weren't a lot of people racing Rotax over the last 3 years that they've done that. So it's more of, okay, the product's out there now. We haven't done changes to it. You should essentially have an engine. We're starting to build up these like you said, club and regional programs, such as the Stars and Stripes Trophy Series in the Northwest. They have the Colorado Karting Tour out in the Rocky Mountains area.
Yep.
Pacific Northwest has the Western Canadian Karting Championships up there. So there's American drivers that go up and race up there as well. So there's still those spots. Even the Midwest, South Bend still has a lot of Masters drivers, anywhere between 10 to 15 every month racing at South Bend. So there's still those pockets of Rotax racers out there. And, and I think J3 has the ability to help build that U.S. Rotax Grand Nationals back up again.
Agreed. Speaking of J3 competition at Rotax, David, they did introduce some adjustments. The new MY20 Micro and Minimax engine. Talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, this was something we knew was coming down the line. We saw them introduce the engine package at the 2019 Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. Again, they're trying to find the good combination for these smaller horsepower engines, essentially moving them to the 125 engine, but reducing it down to the micro and mini speeds. And again, it's still trying to produce a fair and balanced engine package that works across the board, but also provides the ability for micro drivers to move up to that mini category without too much of a change. They're now providing kits available to transform people's engines to the MY20 model design, and of course to do that micro to mini transition as well.
Yeah, talk about it, David. So with the micro, it's an exhaust system and an inlet restrictor, $345 for that kit. For the minis, it's the exhaust system, the exhaust socket, the ECU, the radiator and the mounting, and the inlet restrictor for $395. And then, as you said, they have a kit that will, if you have an MY20, micro, you can turn into an MY20 mini for a kit as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be the basis of the engine down the road, because they're going to get competitors getting the micro engine, and they'll have the ability to use that engine essentially 7 years, running micro from 7 to 10 and then 10 to 12 for the mini category. So it allows that, again, that perfect transition, just like what we see in Briggs and Stratton. All you have to do is change a restrictor there. You just that easier transition in order to be able to keep that engine long term. So there's not a lot of overhead costs when moving up categories.
So a little bit of Rotax news for you here on This Week in Karting. David Cole and I will be back after this break, folks. Talk a little bit about some industry news, and then we're going to focus north of the border with some news coming out of Canada as well. Stay with us. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network.
Trader, Evans, Seligren, Birdsell. Karting legends are created here at the Quincy Grand Prix. This is Randy Kugler, the voice of this iconic event. On June 13th and 14th, competition karts will rip around the spectacular and beautiful 1.2-mile circuit set out inside the South Park of Quincy, Illinois for the 33rd time since 1970. The 2020 edition of the Quincy Grand Prix marks the 50th anniversary of the first time karters raced around this historic venue. To celebrate the event, a $10,000 cash purse has been established for the 4 pro classes competing on the weekend. A total of 11 categories will be competing for the unique trophy given to all race winners, the Gussie, designed and named after the original race founder, Gus Trader. Registration is now open, so don't wait and enter now at QuincyGrandPrix.com and become legendary. We'll see you at the park.
History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation is located just outside of Indianapolis, and they have provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers throughout their near 6 decades of business. Comet's online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. Comet Kart Sales attends dozens of karting events every year, offering trackside service for racers and families. karting veterans Mark Dismore Jr. and Gary Lawson provide one-on-one driver coaching and tuning assistance for each trackside customer. The engine building business, Comet Racing Engines, has won countless major events and championships over decades of karting, and they continue to offer the best trackside service in the industry. Make sure you head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be a part of the Comet Kart Sales family today.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Rob Howden alongside David Cole as we present to you our first This Week in Karting podcast of the 2020 season. David, some industry news coming down the pipe, and really both of these ones that we're going to start out with being directed out of PSL Karting because they are the Burrell Art importers, distributors. They're also the dealer, the importer and distributor of the new Charles Leclerc chassis, the CL. Let's first talk about one of our big partners with eKartingNews.com. I wrote an article about the fact that they've been with us for 15 years. Acceleration Kart Racing out of Las Vegas, Nevada, adding the Burrell Art program to their lineup of products. Yeah,
the Burrell Art is adding to the over 40 brands that is available from the Las Vegas kart shop. Acceleration Kart Racing, one of those major online shops that people from all over the world purchase from, and is, as you said, long-standing supporter of eKartingNews.com. So Acceleration Kart Racing adding the Burrell Art brand, both karts and parts. So everything available at shopakr.com. That includes parts, chassis, and all the different diagrams to help you find that specific part you need for your kart.
Yeah, we're seeing the Charles Leclerc chassis a little bit. PSL Karting had one on display at the Super Nationals up close. The Leclerc, Charles Leclerc, obviously. Do we say he's a former Superkarts USA Super Nationals driver? Or do we talk about the fact that he races for Ferrari in Formula One?
Either one's fine. I mean, either one is fine.
Yeah, wasn't he on the Art GP? Back when he ran it?
That's the connection. Yes, yeah. He was very connected with the Art GP program. That's essentially where he came up through the ranks in car racing. And when they decided to build the kart chassis program, I believe it was 2012 that he was here racing at the Super Nationals. So with the Art GP brand, and then with Burrell and Art GP combining forces, that essentially brought on what is known as the Burrell Art program that we know now today. So that kind of puts everything together. And now that he has made his way into the Formula One and races for Ferrari, I guess he can make his own chassis now, right?
Yeah, here's the one thing. we obviously had a chance to have Charles at the Super Nats, and he's just an absolutely super young man. I know we interviewed him a couple of times. At that point, he was just a top karter, but he was just a really good guy. And it's been cool to see him working his way up through the open wheel ranks, and of course, then coming into Formula One. He was really one of the great stories of the 2019 Formula One season with Ferrari. And when you become a Ferrari star and start outgunning Sebastian Vettel, why not? I guess we can put your logo on a kart, but and in fact, not even over in Europe as well, David, with the Leclerc, another guy that we used to see a lot, actually ran the SCUSA Pro Tour at one point, right? Jordan Lennox, his racing team is now going to be one of the official teams for the Charles Leclerc chassis as well. But primary news that we're talking about here with PSL Karting, they have signed up ANSA Motorsports to become a Charles Leclerc dealer. ANSA Motorsports, a longtime team in IMSA racing. They're actually the South Florida operation getting added to the PSL dealer network. They're actually making their debut this weekend at the Rock Cup USA Formula Winter Tour. Danny Formal, Alan Isambard, and team owner Patrick Otto Madsen are the three drivers who will be on track this weekend. But brand new team ANSA Motorsports and a brand new dealer for the Charles Leclerc chassis.
Yeah, it just continues to extend that Burrell Art PSL dealer network arm. Again, they have the red machines out there. They're all over North America. Now it's getting the other models that are under the Burrell Art name out there, and it's a good combination because obviously Danny Formal has been a very successful karter. Used to race with PSL for a time there as well. Coming off Super Nationals victory in the KZ category. So certainly putting it in the hands of a guy who knows what he's doing behind the wheel.
Yeah, I got to give it up for PSL Karting. Dominic Lebrec last year celebrating his 20th year in the sport. They become obviously one of the powerhouses, but also one of the core components of the strength and the foundation of the sport of karting here in North America with the Burrell Art program, and of course the other associated brands like the Ricardo and now the Charles Leclerc. So a lot of great dealers around the country, and you have to have a strong distribution point to be able to make that happen. And I think again this year, I believe that they were the top dealer, top importer, distributor for Burrell Art around the world. So congratulations to them. North of the border, which is actually where PSL is located in Three Rivers in Trois-Rivières, a lot going on at the Mosport Karting Center. The Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is one of the major tracks here in Canada, probably the major track in terms of running top-level motorsports and car racing, motorcycle racing, you name it. But they've got Mosport Karting there as well. Fantastic karting facility. It's held the national championships many, many times. They've unveiled their plans for 2020. They've actually brought the track, David, after having leased it out essentially for management for the last number of years. They brought it in-house with CMTP or CTMP, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Richard Boak is actually going to be the new karting facility operator. Richard, a former racer we saw running Stars of Karting back in the days, and they're adding a Burrell Art rental program to their program as well. But pretty impressive to see them, where Ron Fellows being such a big part of the track at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Just got awarded the Order of Canada for everything he's done for Canadian motorsports. But Ron really focused supporting karting as he has for the last number of years.
Yeah, it's been a long-time staple in the sport, especially for Ontario karting, having that track right there next to a historic facility such as that is there. I think one of the biggest thing is an on-site race shop. That's always crucial, I think, when you have a racetrack. Is if you don't have anywhere where people can either buy parts or get into the sport by buying a kart itself, it's very hard to get people new into the sport. And so now with the new operator with Richard Boak, they've joined forces with Professional Racing Ontario as the official on-site race shop for the facility, and they are now the official dealer of the Charles Leclerc kart for Ontario. So it kind of just again, PSL kind of still reaching the arm everywhere they go. Obviously, they're based over in Montreal, Quebec area.
Three Rivers.
Sorry, excuse me. I always forget that. And
so do I. Trust me, Stefan made sure I knew about it this past weekend.
So
I made a mistake too.
So it's good to have. Again, they have the Prime Power team that's Burrell Art focused, but now they have the Professional Racing Ontario, or Pro as they're known throughout the social media networks, taking charge of the Charles Leclerc kart.
Yeah, really, it's a great program there. Dale Timmers and Curtis Fox at Professional Racing Ontario. Pro, as you said, they've been around a long time. They've been racers for 20-plus years and still are totally committed to the sport. So great to have them actually on site as a race shop there, as you said. They're the new Charles Leclerc kart dealer for Ontario. The Mosport International Karting Association will still run their club races there. They're working on as well on the Ron Fellows Karting Championship, the MotoMaster Ron Fellows Karting Championship. That's the program. MotoMaster is one of the brands at Canadian Tire, which is a huge automotive and really just kind of a full-on store in Canada. One of our longtime iconic Canadian brands, as opposed to in regards to a store. They've, through MotoMaster, sponsored the Ron Fellows Karting Championship. A bit of an adjustment there. The guys that were running it have started their own program at Goodwood. Ron Fellows and the crew will be putting their program together. We'll still look forward to hearing what's going on in terms of the schedule for that regional racing series. But again, just to have a track like that there, David, at a major facility. Mosport, which is the old name, Mosport for the track, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, draws a lot of people. The NASCAR weekend is huge. They have a couple of Victoria Day weekend. They have the trucks come up, and there's a lot of people there. And with that new Burrell Art rental kart program, they're going to be able to have a lot of people going through that track. And as you said, David, they come off the rental carts. They love karting. There's a pro shop right there. Walk in, see a brand new kart, and man, that's how we bring new people into the sport. So congratulations to all of them. We wish Richard Boak the best of luck, and of course the guys at Pro as well. It's just it's a good thing for the sport, I think, in Canada and Ontario. And Ron Fellows, of course, having him attached to it is always a positive.
It is, but there is a little bit of uncertainty regarding karting in the great country of Canada. Would you say?
Yeah, it was really weird news that came out that ASN Canada, which has been the FIA program, the connected program here in Canada, they've essentially been in charge of all motorsports in Canada. They elected late last year. We found out that they have resigned from the FIA. So it's interesting because Paul Cook and Roger Pert, who ran that kind of program, did a lot of stuff with karting, other parts of motorsport. They were front and center, of course, at the Formula One race in Montreal. They kind of ran that whole program. Well, they have elected to resign from the FIA. I'm assuming essentially closing the doors on the ASN Canada program. So right now, we don't really know what's going to happen in terms of people actually trying to, when you're trying to get international licenses or whatever it may be. Being told Canadian drivers, if you're looking for an international license, you can connect with ACUS, which is essentially the ASN Canada of the U.S. So you can connect with ACUS that way. But there's a bit of an uncertainty overall in terms of the fact that we had this kind of umbrella program that looked after motorsports to a certain extent, in Canada. So that's going to be it's going to be a news item, I think, that we're all going to kind of be watching to see how it develops. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting because, as you said, it's not just karting; it's all of motorsports in Canada. So, as you said, the Formula One Grand Prix is very significant for ASN Canada. It was. So now it's kind of like, okay, where is everything going to moving forward? So, as again, nothing's been announced. We're still waiting and kind of watching. Again, nothing. It's snowing in Canada, so there's nothing to do. So, I mean, is ice racing sanctioned by ASN Canada?
It is. I'm sure it is.
So maybe Todd McCall has some insight into this.
We'll call Todd McCall or Russ Bond. They can fill us in what's going
Russ
on with ice racing. Russ Bond's a big ice racer. All right, folks, one more break. David Cole and I are going to come back and talk about what we had on EKN editorial-wise. We'll let you know if you're obviously listening to our podcast, which you obviously are. We'll talk about the podcasts that are now available and everywhere you can pick up the podcasts. We'll tell you what's coming up on the EKN Radio Network as well and what's coming up for EKN Trackside Live. All right, folks, stay with us. One more little break in the action. We'll come back and wrap up this week in karting. "2019 was a great year, no question. But the offseason is here, and I know that your mind is already thinking about next season. We all want to get better and improve our skills and our racecraft. And maybe you're tired of missing the podium or even the championship. So what do? Here's what I think. Take a breather from throwing money at the newest speed secret and a new chassis you don't quite need yet. Invest in yourself. Take yourself to the next level as a driver. If you want to improve your results, do what every athlete does, regardless of the sport. Get professional coaching. And in karting, there's only one choice. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston. Alan Rudolph is a legend in our sport, and he's been a coach for over 15 years. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Get ready for 2020 by calling 866-607-7223 or head to speedsportsracingpark.com to learn more. Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and safety gear to get you on the track. ShopAKRA.com offers a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure that all the latest equipment is available to you, the consumer. With customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price. Be sure to visit ShopAKRA.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Also, follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials, clearance items, and new products. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Rob Howard alongside David Cole. David, you have been busy. Let's put it that way. You have not been to a race yet since the Super Nationals, but it doesn't mean that you've not been locked to the laptop. But as long as it's going to live, because I think a new laptop's coming pretty soon, right? That one's almost ready to die.
It seems to be that way, yeah.
we put our laptops through a lot of laps. Let's put it that way. A lot of editorial, David, getting rolled out here over the last little while. We of course announced Danny Formal as our November Driver of the Month. Not surprising after the two massive races he was able to win in Las Vegas. You wrapped up things with the EKN Constructors Championship for 2019. That's a program we're going to shelve for the time being. Got a chance to actually post up the fact that we wrap things up with my Burger Smash, our charity smash burger event that we put on at the CKNA Grand Nationals. We ended up raising $4,000 for Riley kids, which I was super happy about, David. It was great to be able to send them that check.
It was a lot of work, but a lot of fun, and it was a great cause. Again, $4,000 to the Riley kids. If we could, we'd give them more, but that was all we were able to raise. And it'll be fun to continue that moving forward, hopefully year after year with the Cup Carts North America Grand Nationals.
We'll raise the bar next time for sure. I'm going to grab Ryan Pickering. He's like a superstar chef in Indy and a racer as well. He wants to come out and smash some burgers with us, so it'll be fun. One thing you've been doing, David, is you've been knocking out a bunch of product spotlights, which I think is cool for the sport, for people, obviously, racers. They get a chance to kind of see some of the cool stuff that's available that they may not knew about. And you did 3 of them, actually, in the last little bit.
Yeah, the most recent one was our Precision Karting Technologies product spotlight. It was the first one we did here in 2020. So I kind of just did kind of a top 5 things that racers might need for the 2020 season that are available through PKT. So gave out obviously axles. PKT is very notable for the axles.
Yeah.
Did rear hubs, front hubs, sprocket carriers. And I cannot think of the 5th one that we did. Skid plates.
That's
there we go.
There you go.
So all different things that racers will likely need for the 2020 season. Odenthal Racing Products. That was our last one of 2019 that we did. We highlighted all the different motor mounts that they manufacture out of their shop. Including one of the newest ones that they're doing, and along with the very popular Briggs motor mount that they utilize.
He also did things late last year with the new Stilo Carbon Curva rib protector. It's a new rib protector that Stilo's put together. They actually tested it at the Super Nationals, let a lot of guys use it, and the feedback was fantastic. I think the first shipment of these Carbon Curva Stilo rib protectors coming in February, but Jay Braxton told me that I think they're essentially all sold out already. So a lot of interest in the new rib protector. It's a lot of flexibility. I haven't used one yet, but I want to get one from Jay to test. So you and I'll both do that. David, get a chance to feel this new Stila Carbon Curva rib protector. But you did a product spotlight based on the information we got from Stilo and from guys that had a chance to run it. I did throw one of my morning coffees out. Again, we already talked about it, but it was kind of a thank you to Acceleration Kart Racing. I was going back looking through some of my old. I've kept all the monthly building lists of the advertising that we have. The great people that support eKarting News week in and week out. And Acceleration Kart Racing has been with us, David, since we first bought the website back in November of 2004. They were on the website before that, anyways, but they've been with us for 15 years, and that just absolutely blew me away. You actually read an article as well about the final chapter of the 2010s, the ending of a decade and the starting of a new one.
Yeah, just kind of reviewed of where we've come since 2010 to now. Just kind of looking at the different organizations, different series, different engines, that type of thing, just to kind of review, because karting is a very kind of a rotating door, as you could say, with people going in and going out. So not a lot of people that are in the sport today knew what the sport was in 2010. So, and a lot of things have changed and have been updated since then.
One of the things I find interesting, because I've been doing this now for 27 years now, started in 1993 as a journalist. For me, the primary story of the decade is the fact that we had one national championship program that ran for 10 years. through the entire decade. That's the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. It started in 2010, and it's still running now here in 2020, because over the other 15 years I was involved, I watched the first iteration of the Promoto Tour, go 4 or 5 years. Then Stars of Karting came in, then it kind of a hostile takeover, weird deal with the CKI guys, and then we had nothing for a couple of years. So it's just a simple fact that we had a national Pro Tour for 10 years, and it has survived the industry trying to eat it like it did, in further years. It's just nice to have that stability. It's something that I don't think we talk enough about. But yeah, the SCUSA Pro Tour throughout the entire decade, holding strong. And again, we expect a great season this year.
I think it's brought on some stability,
yeah.
And I think, as we talked about with the changes that they're going to make for 2021, that whole engine rule freeze kind of helped things, because we've always, in years past, it was changing to different engines, because we had we were with ICC and ICA during the Stars of Karting, and then everything kind of moved away from that to tag. And as you said, even in the early years of SCUSA, everything was kind of open, so everything was there. And then that moved to the ICC model, so it was kind of like every 3 to 4 years, kind of like with the homologations, things would kind of change, and so that change brought on a little bit of angst, and people would be like, "All right, I'm done," and then move on to something different.
Well, look, and Dave, look at the Stars of Karting too, right? It was ICA and JICA, and then then we got to try to see if somebody's got to do the KF program.
Correct. Yeah.
And remember, we had KF races in junior with 4 people.
Yeah.
Right. It was just, and that it just never bit. It just never took on. So, anyways, you wrote that article. We got a great article submitted to us by Billy Musgrave talking about the IAME SSC 175cc shifter kart engine, talking about a new engine being brought into the sport, and probably doesn't have the support yet that it needs or wants. But Billy did a great article called Taming the Beast, and essentially he chronicled his last year in 2019, where he got that engine, tried to figure it out. They found some issues with the way the carburetor was put together, but by the end of the year, he knew how to drive it. He knew how to set it up, and he loves the engine, right? So it's really interesting. That's if you haven't read that article yet, go on eKarting News and read the article called "Taming the Beast" by Billy Musgrave. He did a really good job with that. I was impressed when I was editing it.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
He did a great job, and kind of just essentially gave us a timeline of what they kind of encountered during the first official season for the engine package. So it kind of gave you an idea of what they went through, because again, Billy Musgrave is a guy who's at the racetrack every single weekend. So he knew exactly what they went through and how they approached everything, and what they needed to do. And actually were able to find out, they were able to help find things that weren't exactly the way they should have been, and correct it. And now they're able to move forward. And again, the engine package is still through its early stages, and people are stuck in their ways and might not want to move towards it, but we'll see. Only the future will tell us what really is going to happen.
Indeed. All this editorial that we're reviewing for you available on ekartingnews.com. Just hop onto the site, go to the top right corner, and grab that search engine and find out what you want to see. I was able to finally write up my on-track article of my opportunity, my experience with the Margay Ignite program at the Battle of the Brickyard. Had a tremendous time at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My first time running in the Arrive and Drive program with Margay, and I absolutely loved it and would jump at the opportunity to do it again. And I would tell anybody, if there's an event you want to do, let's say one of their majors, whether it's the Quincy Grand Prix or Rock Island or the Battle of the Brickyard or the Elkhart Grand Prix, if there's a race that you want to do and you just want to come in and race, fly in and race, and you're a four-cycle guy, or I don't care who you are, because four-cycle's fun, the Margay Ignite program, that Arrive and Drive is tremendous. So I wrote that article. Also got a chance to sit down with a guy I've known for over 20 years, Greg Bell from Leading Edge Motorsports, a one-on-one interview after his big victories with Danny Formal on the Formula K chassis with Leading Edge at both the Rock the Rio and the Super Nationals. They won the senior shifter class at Rock the Rio. Danny and Greg winning the KZ category, which is amazing at the Super Nats. So I had a chance to talk to Greg Bell. Great one-on-one interview with him. And David, we wrap things up. You put together a coverage package for the WEKA Daytona Kart Week, which took place between Christmas and New Year's. Essentially our first race coverage article of 2020.
Yep, and then we also followed that up with the race coverage from the SCUSA Winter Series as well. So that all that is available on the website. We have all the different links and sections that you can go to find everything there.
There are podcasts available if you haven't listened to them, folks. We talked early on about the fact that our last This Week in Karting, episode number 16, we did that on December the 10th. All these, of course, available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or Podbean. All these podcasts now available. Remember, all of our content first airs streams on the 24/7 ECAN Radio Network. So you can pick that up by downloading the app, the ECAN Radio Network app, or going ekartingnews.com/radio. It's 24/7. There's always content streaming on the ECAN Radio Network, but these podcasts now available. The last This Week in Karting, I did an Industry Insider interview with Gary Carlton. That's a tremendous interview. I really enjoyed talking to Gary about that. Talked a lot about passion and why he does what he does. I really enjoyed that interview with Gary. Did a couple of ECAN Outlaps, our new program that we launched just before the Super Nationals. We do our debrief. That's the post-race report. Well, we started the ECAN Outlap for the Supernats, essentially the preview of the events we've done. David and I doing episode 3, which was the preview for Daytona. Episode 4, the preview for the SuperKarts USA Winter Series opener in Homestead. Next week, Monday or Tuesday, David and I will be doing another Outlap, the preview of the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas. And right now, not right now, but coming up, well, David will let you know, when are you going to be posting the debrief from the SCUSA Winter Series, David?
Debrief will be available in podcast form on Monday, and likely this show will be available on Tuesday, January 21st. So there we go. And again, like you said, everything plays on the radio first. So playing already, we've had the live broadcast from SCUSA Winter Series at AMR. We've already played the debrief, which is playing, I believe, right now up through tomorrow, or today up to tomorrow. And then upcoming, we got some interviews as well. And then, of course, next week right away, we'll have the Outlap previewing the Challenge of the Americas.
Lots coming on the ECAN Radio Network. My goal is we're lining up to talk to Terry Trader for the Quincy Grand Prix. We've got a lot of great things going on with Quincy. I'm thinking I'm probably going to be attending this, maybe even doing some announcing with Randy Kugler. We'll see. We're talking about doing an ECAN Trackside live broadcast from Quincy. Trying to track down Greg Jasperson from the Cup Karts North America program. I haven't been able to get a hold of him yet. And I got the feeler out. I got the invitation out to Garrett Potter as well from Rock Cup USA. Of course, busy this weekend, has been for the last number of weeks, getting things ready for this opening round in Pompano Beach. It's just happening this weekend. But I'll see if we can't pinch down Garrett Potter to talk about Rock Cup. What's the plans for 2020? We know about the Florida Winter Tour. We know about the Rock the Rio, but what kind of rock events are we going to see potentially coming out throughout the season? So looking to get him pinned down again. As you said, we'll also have the Outlap for the COTA running next week as well. But David, we're at the desk right now. I got a chance to go to the SCUSA race last weekend in Homestead. You've got to be dying, because by the time you roll, you'll have been home for 2 months. Our next race, January the 24th, 25, 26, we're both heading to Tucson, Arizona for the opening round of the Challenge of the Americas, hanging back with Andy Saisman and the staff there, the family at COTA. Dude, you got to be ready to go.
I do. I got to go get a haircut. I haven't had a haircut since that race, too.
Wow. You might need to post a photo
I've at least
of
shaved.
that.
I have shaved, but not so much the top side of the head. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Tucson. This will be, I believe, our 9th season with the Challenge in America. Started back in 2012, if you can believe that, doing live broadcasts from the Challenge in America.
Well, let's just say one thing, though. I didn't announce even one race last year.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Conflicts.
I didn't even think about that. You were
I didn't go to the first 2 races.
3rd event, but that's right. You were there as a quote unquote racer. Yeah. I was
David Cole. So I handled the broadcast. But yeah, I'll be back on the mic for the entire Challenge of the Americas this year, which makes me very, very happy. But yeah, getting back out to Tucson, dude, I love that racetrack so much in terms of I've never driven it myself. Hopefully, I'd like to be able to drive it potentially. I might need to set that up. But first and foremost, what a great racetrack to call. The action there, passing in 1, passing in 2, passing in 4, passing in 5, passing in through the rhythm section, 9, I think it is, at the end of the straightaway, or end of the rhythm section, passing down at the end of the straightaway. It's probably one of the best racetracks for sheer wheel-to-wheel racing, I think.
Without a doubt, it is. It just amazing. Yeah. Different elevation, not too much, but enough to feel it. As you said, the back and forth of the racetrack, the speed down at the end of the back straightaway, so you're able to get that speed factor there in the front straightaway as well. but plenty of passing opportunities, plenty of different areas where you can gain or lose time. So it makes for exciting racing, and we've seen exciting racing every time we've gone there with Challenge of the Americas.
Great to have Cooper Tires on board back with us again this year. They're the presenting sponsor of our EKN Trackside Live Tour for 2020. We're locking things down. We'll get the new Tour T-shirts done, and we'll make those available on the EKN store. I'll probably give a couple of those out at the podium presentations as well. 2 EKN Trackside Live races over the next three and a half weeks. We've, of course, got the Challenge of the Americas, as David and I are talking about. January 24, 25, 26. We'll be live from Tucson, Arizona. And then 2 weeks later, Alicia and I will be heading back down to Homestead for the final 2 rounds of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series, February 7th, 8th, and 9th from Homestead, Florida. And then, David, to cap things off, second week of March, the opening round of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. It pains me to say this, but it'll be the first Pro Tour race I will miss in 11 years. I've announced every Pro Tour race, but it's on exactly the same weekend as the Road to Indy and IndyCar opener at St. Petersburg. I got to be in St. Petersburg. We're going to have, I just confirmed it, we're going to have Xander Clements on the mic with you for EKN Trackside Live.
See, I had to miss the second ever Pro Tour race because that was at Shawano. I was at the Rotex Grand Nationals. That's the only Pro Tour race I've ever missed. So now you'll get that feeling that I get when you
FOMO, major FOMO. I'll be busy. Thank God I'll be busy in St. Petersburg. But yeah, I'll be doing what I can to see what's going on there. I hate that I'm missing it, but I'm sure that you'll be good. You get in the capable hands of Xander Clements. You can make sure you keep him in line, though. Okay.
You'll have to. Well, you're going to be kind of in that trailer announcing couple sessions, right? And then you're running around pit lane like a chicken with his head cut off, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll be doing the Indy Lights from pit lane. I'll be doing IndyCar from pit lane as well, as I always do. But also, we're going to do a lot more stuff with Road to Indy. I think we're going to be doing like a live pre-race show and a live post-race show.
Oh,
so
yeah, you're
as
going to have no time to watch what's going on.
As if I have any more bandwidth at those weekends. I'm really looking forward to getting back because so many of these drivers, David, that you and I have followed over the last 15 years of owning e-karting news, and then me before that with Shifter Card Illustrated, getting a chance to see these guys move their way up the ranks. Of course, Oliver Askew and Pato Award, 2 kids we've watched for many years, this year running with Arrow McLaren Racing SP. Excited to see Oliver making his debut in the NTT IndyCar Series.
Yeah, Oliver, was it 2013 Rotax Grand Finals podium finisher?
There you go, David. Good stuff. All right, folks, that's it for this week in karting. We'll try to do another one maybe less than a month. We're going to look to do one the second week of February. Every couple of weeks, we'll try to do this for you. We hope you enjoyed it, guys. And if you're driving still on the way to work or on the way home from work, please drive safe. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. We are done here on the EKN Radio Network. Lots of content 24/7 here on EKN Radio. But this particular podcast of This Week in Karting is done. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.